Let's see if this is better. Okay, way better. Yeah, I was doing tracking anyways. I was fucking out with my computer, my camera. Make sure it's on, sweet. Okay guys, we're gonna do a topwater fly here. We're gonna make a topwater fly for Murray cod. Murray cod fly fishing isn't very popular, but it's fucking a thrill, I gotta tell you. Fly fishing in general is a thrill. So anyways, so we'll crack into it. Things you'll need when tying a Murray cod fly for this one, and color wise, size wise, like it. I've been tying flies for quite a while, ever since I was younger. But I'm self-taught, so in the end of the day, it's this is my rule for tying flies. There's really no rules. It's kind of literally. It's a lot of its preference. People say this works, that works. You know, colors work. I find, you know, not all the time, but sometimes there are like days where like fish will kind of hit on a certain colors or certain size. Time of the year for size too. But anyways, things you'll need: double barrel poppers. Like this. So you'll need, I use extra large because I like to go for the, you know, biggest. I like to make the biggest flies. I throw 10 weight, sometimes 9 weights for smaller flies, but I generically throw 10 weights for cod. Basically basically for the tail. There's all different types. I'll show you. I'll give you another example. There's that. I put this stuff for tail, flash boo. You know, there's some black stuff too. But today we're gonna be using black with a little bit of shine in it. Emu feathers. Okay, so if you want to make fly tails for big flies, I go for emu feathers. And I actually collect these myself. They work. I just find they flow in the water real nice, individually. So saddle hackle. I use red and black. I got some pink stuff. It depends on what color you want. And these are basically feathers I found off a bird at a gas station, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So basically, I rolled up to a gas station and I saw this bird that was dead there, there's a guy that was parked by the bird, and I pulled up and I saw this bird that was like some beautiful feathers. They did make some beautiful flies, so I just started pulling feathers off the bird. And the guy was kind of looking at me like, "What am I doing?" But now I got some beautiful feathers. Anyways, the emu feathers, I got people that give me these. I ask, people collect them, and I ask them, hey, if you ever get any emu feathers, collect. So I collect some. I got a lot given to me, so I'm very grateful for that. Hooks, you're gonna want to use a Gamakatsu size 8. Just make sure when you buy hooks. So I know they're expensive. I get it, But my viewpoint is if you're gonna I'm always prepared to winch in the biggest cod if I have to. So okay, so there's 2 different types. There's a few different types of hooks, but make sure you do not get that where it's bent up. Make sure you get the straight one. And the reason, that being said, you put that on there. This, when you strip it, it will pull up. So this cup here, the cup here, will move up, and it won't cup water as much. So if you get a straight one, when you pull it, it actually, what is that? It actually pulls. Oh, that's my fucking cat. It pulls and it cups water better, and it I find it gives more of an to to the water. So, alright, so basically we're going to start with tools you'll need. I use this. Scissors. I forget what this is called. Like I said, it says your thread. I use whatever color I got, so I don't really care. It all works really good. And I know I don't have a. I've actually had this one. This is actually my first vise I got when I was 8, and I still have it, I guess. This right here. You don't need a fancy vise. I don't have a fancy vise. I would love a fancy vise, but I don't. I'm kind of just too cheap to buy a fancy vise. So yeah, so I've had this ever since I was 8. I'm turning 30 in 2 days or whatever. A day, 2 days. Tomorrow, I guess. Down in Australia right now, so I guess 2 days. Gotta be really technical, but so I don't have a fancy vise. I don't think you need a fancy vise. So yeah, let's get started. So you're gonna want to pierce, poke hole. You're gonna want to poke a hole and make sure you go straight. But when you do it, you poke a hole and that hook will come out there. You don't want it. Well, two options. You can poke. You can have the hook end of the hook facing that way, which then the hook will dig in more of the water when you do strip it in. Or I like to have it there. I like the hook come out there, not there. So I'll tell you the reason why. Because if you have it there, the room between the hook and the popper head, there's more room to set the hook. So if a fish grabs it and you strip set it, I just find that there's more room to hook the fish. So if you have it here, it's just a little bit less room. So I like to have it like that, not like that. So poke, you run it through. Basically you just and if I can usually get it first try. So yes, so like that. You know, say if you want a little bit up, just back it off halfway. Just back it off half, or pull it all the way out and redo it. And just keep on poking it until you find where you want to place it, because I find this is very important. So I'll put it a little bit higher, and people, you know, so if you want to know how to get that hole solidified into the head, you take a lighter and you just basically heat that up. You take the lighter and you just basically warm it up. Basically what you're doing is you're actually you're just melting that head and you just pull it out really slowly, because you basically make a hole. Sweet, so look at that. The hole, melted the hole. Right on. And that's where I like to put my... Alright, so next we are going to take the big hook, and this is just prepping, so when it comes to be because when you have to put this on, oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. Alright, so take your scissors, kind of jam this one, I forgot about this step, and basically you just jam it in the hole and you're just making that hole wider. And a lot of people would use proper popper head hooks. I just find they don't come in a bigger one, like the one I would want, and that's why I don't. like if Gamakatsu made a popper head, I definitely would do it. I'd definitely buy them, but they don't, and I would prefer a quality hook over, because they can take a beating. You know, you fly fishing, you get in some tight angles. You know, you hook, you fly. No, your hook will bounce. Your fly will bounce off the rocks. Hook. You know, so you just basically just all the way through. These popper heads are pretty durable, so you can just squish them down. So yeah, I'm just jamming that in there, and then you just feed that through, and you just make it so like when you're done the fly, just make it come through. So what I do is I just twist it as I pull it out slowly, because then it kind of makes it wider. So when you're done the fly, you want to be able to put this on nice. So you just kind of prep in the end of the. Ah, I fucking poke myself. Cunt. So that's pretty good. Popper head's still good. Alright, so we are going to tie. Basically, you're going to put a coat of thread, your first layer of thread, and this is basically so then you have your material has something to stick to and hang on to as you tie it on. So what I do is I just basically just make one layer. You don't have to get it I used to try to get it perfect. Now the more you do it, I guess. When I was younger, I used to try to make every thread nice and neat, but the base layer, it's towards the end that matters for nice and neat, and you don't really have to worry about that as it does that. So get it so when it starts to curve down. So when it starts to curve down, that's pretty good. And then I come back up. I always come back up to the top. So remember, when you're tying flies, you're always kind of working backwards. It's like solving problems backwards. You're always back engineering. Back engineering is basically tying flies, because I know it's a big word for fly fishing, but so basically you want to figure out how long you want this first bit of tail to come off. For this one, I don't want that long. I'm gonna just basically do. I'll start measuring some stuff so then you guys have something to relate off of. I don't know, honestly, 3.5 inches, 4 inches. You can do longer, you can do shorter. I'm gonna do about 3 inches. Like I said, it's just a lot of it's just kind of how you want it, really. It has to be perfect. So I'm going to tie it halfway off, halfway down the fly. I see some loose ties here. You just got to get that on there. So I'm just basically and I tie this to, because remember, as you tie the tail, if you tie it going down the curve, it actually starts pointing the tail down. So zoom in. Yeah, so that's how I like the tail, really. And it is rough. You don't really need a. And like I just usually cut all the loose stuff in the front. And if you want to trim it later, you can trim it and how you want, but I'm not worried about that. That's loose stuff. Alright, so the next is emu feathers. So I'm not going to tie them, I'm not going to take them all at the same time and tie them on. I'm gonna basically kind of pick the ones I want. I've already picked the ones I want. So, and you basically can tie it, figure out how you want. So what I do is I tie from one side, and then I'll take another clump, tie it, and I'll kind of back and forth it. Because you can spread your feathers out neater and nicer. Do that, do some loose. So pick what ones you kind of want on to tie on there. I just try to make nice neat flies. Tie this side here. So as I tie them, I cut all this shit off. Then I'm gonna want some more, obviously, because I like to make my feathers fat, and it gives more. It just gives more. So basically, then I want to do some top. So then it goes on the top. And then I'll end up tying. Nah, that's raggedy. Some shorter ones. So let's do that. Yeah, no, I've actually. So I'm from Canada. I met my wife here, and so I've always fly fished, you know, off and on. I've always picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down. I just got really hungry for it again, so I started fly fishing, and when I ended up here, I started fly fishing for my cod. No one else did around here. And the more you dig deeper, the more you realize there are people that fly fish for cod. Definitely don't come often, but it's so fun. All right, so saddle hackle. I'm gonna pick. So I just take about 3 of them, and then you basically tie the tips. So I tie the tips loosely, and then I drag as far as she'll go. I tie a little bit more just to get that grip, and then I tie to the front, and then you start spinning it around, and that's how it makes that scarf. That's how you make scarves for fly tying, and sometimes it gets pretty, you gotta maneuver. Yeah, so my wife right now is at work. We'll be making more videos together. It's just, might as well make some fly tying videos. So I just cut. Make sure you don't cut the thread also. I've done that so many times where then you got to start over again. Well, you don't start over again. You can retie. So then the scarf looks like that. And if you want, you can tie in another one to kind of. So sometimes I'll just decide to tie back a bit more. And then you just add one more. Sometimes it will fill in like the end part a bit. Or make it thicker. So basically, so what I'm doing right now is when I tie these scarves, it actually pushes the feathers out more, but not these feathers, because I'll be tying these ones on. So I'll be tying them like this, and it pushes the feathers out. It doesn't, the feathers won't be against the body more, it'll push it out, and that's what these are good for, and plus it adds color, blood color and stuff. So I will end up tying, I'll tie one, and then cut it because it's a bit thicker. Tie another one, Try to make them, and it just cups down. Remember, the fish when they feed up, so they go, oh, how are the fish gonna see it? Well, fish are not necessarily looking at the top, and second of all, there's lots of colors on here, so I'm not really worried. Fish feed up, so oh shit. Alright, I was just on the phone with my wife, so, where are we? Yeah, anyways, alright, so that is all good. I'll spin this around so you guys can see. So it looks like that. So, next we are going to make a scarf. Because look at this. You have your head. And you want to make sure when you put on the head, you know how far back that has to go. So you kind of just line it up. So right now I'm gonna add one more scarf just to cover up the little bit of tie. So one more scarf. Alright, cut that there. This part you're gonna want to thread it a bit better, and you pull the hairs back and you thread it. So I'm just gonna add a bunch of thread just to make it a bit fatter, so when you do put on the head it has a bit more to grip onto and it makes it look cleaner. And I've caught, it's so fun, so I sight cast for cod quite a bit. So you basically hike along riverbanks and such, and you basically find cod that way. So with this part, I go like this. I use 2 fingers, make a loop. I do that just a bunch of times, and I tie it where you can do like a double one if you want. So that's what I do. That's how I tie that. You do have this tool. I think I've used it like 3 times and I don't like it, so. Alright, so then you cut that. That's all done. The base of your fly is all done. Oh, and another thing you're gonna need, you don't necessarily need it, you could actually use UV resin. You could use UV resin, but I don't think it works as good because UVs don't penetrate inside it as good. So let me find, where did I put it? Okay, so I got this. It's quick glue. It's basically and it's just adhesive, like super glue kind of. So put it with your finger. I don't usually do it with my finger, but put on my pants, I guess. So I take this off. I take the fly off when I do it. So you just put enough to like that, and then what I do, how I put this on is I spin it the same way you tied it. Spin it. Alright. It's like that. Bottom. Bottom looks like you got the red, black, top. So at this point, you just basically make sure it's leveled, or however. Some people actually, if you place it over here or over here, you can offset it. So then it depends on how you want to. If you want to get real technical, you can do that. So that's that. I'm just gonna let that sit there for actually no, I don't have to. Whatever, it'll dry. All right, so it's time for the eyes now. So when you take these eyes, so I think the most expensive part, some of the most expensive parts of the flies are the eyes. And they fit perfectly inside the eyes. So I actually, these are a bit smaller. You can get all different sizes. This size isn't too bad. So a lot of people just put them in there and then just it's whatever, but I don't do that. I use the guff. I actually put it I guff my eyes in. I don't. And then I take this tool and I basically do it so then all the way around the eyes. So then that guff is around the eyes properly and nice. So then it's evenly. So then next is the UV. Just make sure where you point it, you don't point it at your guffs, because then you'll just. So I just hold it there for, I don't know, 20 seconds. $10 or whatever, 15, don't matter. So that's the one in there. Let's get the next one. Alright, and I try to take my time to place the eyes properly and nice. You know, because I don't know, because it makes the flies look nice. Some more guff and eyes. Literally just a droplet. So basically, you don't have to cover. You can do it. You can do, honestly, like I said, there's no rules to fly tying. Some people may believe that. I don't believe that. Or there's no rules to fly fish. There's really no rules to whatever. Just do what you want. But at the end of the day, I like to just put a droplet on, kind of like a droplet, so then it evenly is around the whole thing, and it cements it to the foam also. Actually, I might put just a dash more. Just a little bit more, just to. And I also find that the more time you take to build these flies, the longer they last, because they do fall apart quite a bit. Alright, same thing, UV resin. These are really easy flies to make. Different colors heads. They're fun too, because you can do whatever colors you want. Alright, so eyes are done. One more thing, I like to do this. So you know how you put it through there's a bit of hole in there. I will be putting, so I basically put that UV resin around the hook, not the loop, but I like to put it around. So then it doesn't get water. I find your flies can get waterlogged. So I just basically put a little bit of guff. I do it so then it covers up that bigger hole that you put in there, so then you can put the hook on there. and then it seals that up. Like I said, I like to try to make everything as quality as possible. And by using this tool, you actually spread the guff out nice, and it becomes smooth and it doesn't become clumpy and stuff. So same thing, stick it in there, UV resin it. And honestly, this UV resin I've actually used. I've used this UV resin on stuff that I don't need, not even for fly fishing. This shit's so good. Also too, I use a UV resin sometimes if I'm making knots, and like say if I'm saltwater fishing for shark or whatever, any bigger fish, and say even on surf rods and stuff, if I make a knot and I want to make sure that knot's not coming out, I'll actually put a dab of UV resin on it, or even a fly line. Sometimes I'll make my leaders nice where I'll put a dab of UV resin on there, and then I do that. And basically, it makes that knot smooth. It just makes it. It's just a bubble on the line, and it's actually easier to pull the line through the eyelids and all that. So there is your cod fly, topwater cod fly, and I'll cast this. I don't know, next time I go fly fishing. Now there you go. Now I got a cod fly, and if you buy this at a store, you won't buy this exact same one because they just, I don't know, it's not an option, I guess. Maybe not the exact same material, but pretty close. These work very well, I find, and you can, when you sight cast for cod and you're hiking those banks for miles and miles just to spot that one hog, throw this on top, they'll come and grab it. They work so well. Easy to make. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and till next time, I guess.